Sometimes we feel stymied in witnessing to people, don't we? They seem to have a wall up and it just seems impenetrable. Well, I'm going to tell you a story about how God penetrated one guy's wall. It occurred in Moscow. I was there on a Josh McDowell project, and there were a group of us related to one particular bus. That's how they grouped. And there were 30 of us, and so you got to know everybody. And the first night, there was a guy named Jim who stood up and said, I'm not actually a believer, which had to make him about the only unbeliever, I think, in the group. But I'm here because my daughter dragged me here, and I'm retired, and I have the freedom to do that. And then he sat down. And I thought to myself, sometime before this week is over, I'm going to share Christ with that person. Well, I came to understand how desperately his daughter wanted him to come to Christ. I mean, she had indeed dragged him there. She was hoping this would be a chance for him to see what the gospel could do in people's lives. Well, days went by, and I never had a chance to share with Jim until the last day. And we were riding in the bus, and he was across the aisle from me, and his daughter was sitting against the window. So I could see his daughter's face framed kind of over his shoulder, just sort of going like this, please pray. I'm praying that you'll share with him. So I did. And I got to the end of the 4 spiritual laws, and Jim said, I don't want to do that. And his daughter's face just fell. I could just see this was one of many places where she had him right to the brink of receiving Christ, and he turned away. And I remember thinking this thought and praying, God, I don't want this to end here. There must be some way to penetrate into this guy's world. He's so overconfident. And then God gave an idea. I said, well, Jim, I'd like to ask you a question, if you don't mind. No. I said, how long do you think you're going to live? His daughter, she had this puzzled look on her face. Where is this guy going? I said, well, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years or something. I said, well, okay, let's say it's even 15. And then what? Well, I'll die. I said, right. That happens to all of us. And then what, Jim? He was totally puzzled. I said, well, let me fill you in a little bit here, Jim. Since you're such a planner and you think ahead about life, really there are only 2 retirement plans upon death. One is called heaven, and the other is called hell. So I just have one last question, Jim, and then I'll be quiet. What is it about hell that you prefer? And then I just shut my mouth. I mean, his daughter has expired practically past there. She thinks they'll never come to Christ after that presentation. And I think a literal minute went by. That's a long time looking somebody in the face. It was a long time. And finally he said, nothing. I'm ready to pray right now. And he asked Christ into his life, and his daughter was like a light bulb had gone up in her face. God will give you creative ideas if you'll just ask.